Welcome to another Canadian company module feature here on the All Weather Haulage channel. This one, a little while ago, I saw a post on Facebook or Instagram that the Canadian company Empress Effects was celebrating 20 years, their 20-year anniversary, I guess. Not necessarily of being in the Eurorack or Modular Synth game, but just as a company, they created effect pedals before they started creating the module that I'm going to feature today. But I wanted to release this on their 20-year anniversary, this video, because I've been right in the middle of releasing a whole bunch of my 20 years since the release of my first band, Cyanide Kiss, their albums, and I've got another one coming up in December. And I feel like 20 years is a big accomplishment, and the remembering back is kind of like the spirit of the times of what was going on 20 years ago, and it's pretty cool. So Empress Effects is from Ottawa, Ontario, and since I mentioned Cyanide Kiss, I'm going to mention a band from Ottawa that was on the same bill as Cyanide Kiss one time, and that was Tom Green. So as always, all the important links to some music from those bands and other things that I mention in the video are going to be linked down in the description below. Now, I've moved my Euroburo, my Zoia Euroburo, into my small case here, which I'm setting up for a new all-weather haulage project. You're kind of getting a sneak peek. This might become the concept of my next album, but I don't think I'm giving too much away. And I love this module in a small case because this module is essentially a full Eurorack system in itself. I've used it tons of times in a small case, and I actually had it in my big case for a while because this case didn't have power. I talked about that in my generative video, and I never used it in the big case because if I need an LFO, there's an LFO right there. This works awesome in a small case. So here's a bunch of, I've used it tons of times for generative things. Here's a few of those. This is a clip from my print room generative patch. This is where I restarted my generative music project. You can see the Zoia Euroburo right in the middle there. It's doing some trigger sequencing. Here is another clip from my t-shirt generative patch. Again, I'm using it in this one for a sample and hold and a quantizer. And one more while I'm at it, especially because I'm using it in a completely different way. This one I'm using it as an oscillator voice in my construction room ambient video. Now, in those past couple clips, I was mentioning so many different ways that I was using the Euroburo. What most people do is they use this whole system, it's even more than a module, this system, as their modular gateway. It is a full modular system. You want trigger sequencing, you want a quantizer, you want a sample and hold, you want an oscillator. It's got all that built in and more. And what you can even do is you can go online to a bunch of people's patch storage and just download what they've created. In the intro there, you heard a whole patch, and I was playing with it, that was created by someone else, and there's abundance of those out there. For example, what you're hearing in the background is the Plinky being affected by the Zoia Euroburo. What I really wanted was a Chase Bliss generation loss, and so I thought, I wonder if someone has created that. And this effect patch, somebody created and said, this is exactly the sound of a Chase Bliss generation loss. And so the Zoia community has built a whole bunch of these. Now this one was actually built for the pedal version of this, and it somehow is just working on here. But it sounds pretty awesome. When I'm using the Zoia in my small case, I think I don't really use it how most people use it. I generally have a blank canvas and I patch around the Zoia, and then any holes I kind of fill with the Zoia. So let me set this up here, for example. I don't think I'm going to have much of anything coming into it. And I'm going to start on a blank canvas here. Got the ins here and the outs here. It's also got a headphone jack. You can connect MIDI stuff. This is what I use, is the CV outs. I don't use the CV ins that much. I'm mainly using the CV outs. So if I set up and look for an LFO, I want it to be a sine wave LFO. And let's get some negative values in here too. Okay, so I've got my Plinky going into my filter over here. And I want the LFO to be nice and slow. And I'm going to have it adjust the cutoff frequency. So I connect it to this control voltage. I connect it to this control voltage out. Plug that into my filter over here. There we have it. Now it's affecting the filter frequency. And I don't really have an LFO in this small case, so the Zoia Euroburo is taking care of that for me. So unlike what other people do, I don't patch everything on here. I just kind of have complementary things to what I've got in my case. Now, let's suppose I also want to have it run through an effect like a reverb or a delay. I can add that here. I'll add it this delay. I'll connect the audio in. I'm going to connect the audio out here. So I've got an LFO coming out. That's messing with my filter. I've got my whole sound going in and being adjusted by a delay and going right out. And the Plinky also going right out, so the left and right ear are slightly different. Sounds pretty fantastic. Anyways, it can be whatever you want. That's why I like it in my small case. It kind of fills a hole for anything that I might need. I can just kind of set it up in the Euroburo, and it's fantastic. Now, the Euroburo is a bit pricey, but when you think that you're getting a full modular system in one, it's actually not that bad at all. Or if you like the idea and want a modular system in a guitar pedal, you can try going for the Zoia, not the Euroburo version, but the pedal version, which is nearly half the cost. Empress Effects is a huge company, and you can get these modules at Empress Pedals, Long and McQuaid, Mog Audio, and Cicada Sound. Thanks for watching.